Welcome in, everybody, to Back to You. Great to have you with us for another episode, an episode I'm super excited about. I'm bringing in a good old friend to this one, guys. Really excited to celebrate this holiday week with our family here on the Back to You podcast. And I'm going to bring in a quasi-family member because I've known her forever. She's one of my dear friends, Dreyer from the Today Show. That'll be fun. That's a great conversation coming up. But, you know, it's a busy week, guys, not only on top of work, but like everybody's traveling. Airports are nuts. The roads there's tons of traffic everywhere, but it's like this, it's almost like it's okay this week because the excitement means that it's the holiday and you get to see your family. And for me, it's the intro to the Christmas season, which is really what Thanksgiving is for me. I just love the whole, November to December and the joy and the lights and, the cheer. And, but yeah, it's a busy week. How about you guys?
And the gravy.
Yeah.
you gotta have gravy, I mean, the same thing. I think, funny thing about our business is that, it doesn't stop for the holidays. And there's some years that we get fortunate that we're maybe have the time to spend, that's longer than 24 hours, with the people that you love. And then there's sometimes where you're just going. And I know that for me, I was supposed to do games and travel on Thanksgiving. And because I'm getting older, I asked for permission from TNT to miss a game so that I could come back to Chicago and spend Thanksgiving with Lynn, who's here and would be here all alone. Instead of being with the grandkids, they're often running elsewhere. And I would never have done that a few years ago. And I think there's precious moments now and just spending time and then and even though it's an off day and you still travel, it's still a day that you don't have to do anything. And so I'm thankful to be come back here to Chicago and then get back on with the business because here we go again. And then Christmas is going to be right around the corner.
It's crazy.
It is, but it's a great time of year.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds amazing. Have fun with Lynn. Tell her we said hello and give the best to the family. It sounds like it's going to be a great one.
Well, and I'm looking forward to our next guest as well, because did you know in 1963, her grandmother Doris was a record-setting winner on The Price is Right?
Oh, yes. I knew that. It's
you
great.
Knew that?
Yeah, of course I knew that. It's one of her, it's a fun little tidbit about Dylan that she likes.
Amazing.
There, but yeah, no, I've known Dylan for nearly 20 years now. We wish we could see each other more often with our busy schedules, but when we do see each other, it's like no time was left in between. And as soon as I asked her if she'd like to come on with you guys, she immediately said yes. When I'm happy to come on, and she's just the best. And everybody loves her. It's so funny playing in Tahoe with her in the golf event, and having an opportunity to be around her at many different things. She's just she's a joy. Wonderful friend. And without further ado, here's our conversation with Dylan Dreyer. And here she is, the bright light, Dylan Dreyer. How are you?
Bright light. That's a stretch, but thank you.
Yes, we love having you on. This is going to steer our conversation in many different directions than we haven't had yet. So I'm super excited.
Well, I'm glad I can contribute, so thank you.
How are
your
you?
History, I was going to say your history together. You guys you could take these four corners, and you guys could just go on and on and on. So we're just going to be spectators and listeners in this. This should be a lot of fun.
We thought about doing. We always talk about getting our own show. We're like, we should really get it and do something fun like that. But yes, the background is Dylan and I met. She does not remember this, but we did meet in college at Rutgers. We both went to Rutgers University, and Dylan actually was subletting a room in an apartment for the summer, which was the room of, I lived with a bunch of women's lacrosse players in college, and there were two apartments kind of adjoining one another, and Dylan rented or subletted a room for the summer. And I remember Dylan because we were all on campus all summer, of course, training, and Dylan had a really short, cute haircut, and she was studying meteorology. And so I was like, oh, she wants to be a meteorologist, and I want to be a sportscaster. Like, this is cool. So I remembered her. I met her once. But I remember.
That's Kathryn's special talent. I mean, she remembers people when she meets them. She remembers
exactly. I remember
details. I'm like in one ear, out the other. It's not a strong suit for me.
I wasn't cool enough for her to remember me, clearly. So fast forward years later, we're both in Providence, Rhode Island. I get hired as the weekend sports anchor. And then 4 months later, she gets hired as the weekend weekend weather person, meteorologist, I should say. And her weather, what was he, the weather director, what was his name? Or what was his title?
Gary?
Yeah,
he was the chief meteorologist there.
Thank
you. He had said, you two should hook up. I think you could really be friends. So you should reach out to Kathryn, get to know Providence a little bit more. And he was right. I mean, we connected and we clicked right away. Played tennis together in the morning, and the one morning we played tennis together. And it was just like a friendship that was meant to be.
Yeah, and when she mentioned that, guys, I said, "Oh, I've already met her before," and of course, he was like, "Meeting you." So, a bunch of pictures were circling around last week on my roommate's group text, and one of them was Dylan at a party that we were all at with another friend of hers, Liz. And so, my girlfriends texted to me. I said, "I'm sending that to her for proof that I did meet her in college."
Oh my gosh, too funny.
I still need a picture with you in it. Then I'll truly believe.
Sorry. I was at the party, just not in the picture. But anyway.
The always elusive Kathryn Tappen, Dylan. Always elusive. Never find yourselves in pictures.
Oh, no.
But what I love, guys, is over the years, we share a lot in common with obviously our careers, but also just, ups and downs of life and relationships and friendships. And now mom of 3 kiddos. Oh my gosh, Calvin's 6. And you've got Ollie and you've got Rusty, and life is busy for you, Dylan. How do you do it all?
Life is busy. And if you actually ask me how I do it, which is the exact question you just asked me, I don't know, because you do it because you have to figure it out. But I mean, like, you understand when you have to travel, if you look back to, say travel you did last week where you had to bounce from city to city and live out of a bag and do this and do that and work late and get up early. And you're like, how did I do it? And in the moment, you just do it. We're very blessed with 3 boys who are they're my life. I never knew I wanted to be a mom. For the longest time, I didn't think I wanted kids. And then all of a sudden I had the first one and I'm like, I want more. And then we had the second, I want more. And we're done at 3. 3 boys certainly gives me a run for my money, but I don't know. I have different brains, so I get up at 5 or 6 in the morning, depending on what I'm doing that day, sometimes 4, and I go into work, and my husband, fortunately, he doesn't go into work till 11:30 in the morning. So he handles the day to day in the morning. He gets the kids dressed, off to school. I don't ask questions. Somehow they all get there. Everything happens. And then I come home and then we swap, and then I go into mom mode when I get home. And I do the pickup from school and dinner at night and bath time and all that. And then you just do it again the next day. So it's a wild ride, but I'm very blessed.
Well, and Brian's a cameraman. Is that correct?
Yes, he does the jib for Nightly News with Lester Holt. He actually was just down in Miami for the presidential debate. So he was the Republican debate. So he was down there for about a week. And I learned a lot with Brian being gone for a week.
Oh my God.
And I was like, wow, I don't have a 4th child to pick up after. This is amazing.
Oh boy. Oh, wait a second here. I hear this all the time here.
I almost said, well, you kind of have 6 when you factor in Brian. Brian is a giant kid. He is so much fun to be around. I mean, if anybody has been around him or follows him on Instagram, he's a riot, but he's the best. He's funny and he's entertaining, but clearly a very good dad as well. I'm not trying to belittle his his parenting skills or his maturity, but Brian's a fun guy to be around.
They like to play video games, but
yeah.
So, Kathryn, is he similar to the guy that's one of these guys on the show?
Yeah,
that's
I
short
think
and
so.
bald?
Yeah, you guys will get along. I'm sure Niner probably met him before in Tahoe, but because he carries the bag for Dylan at the American Century Championship. So,
Wow.
Interesting. You guys would probably appreciate, because he so there's different ways to play with my kids, and my kids say, Mom, they love hockey. Like, they can't ice skate, but they love, they'll just play like street hockey. And so they've got the whole setup, and we go outside and I set it up, and and I'm kind of there, kind of playing with them, going back and forth, right? Fine. They have a great day. We have a great afternoon. And then the next day they ask Dad to play, and we have to start with the national anthem. Brian has downloaded the goal song for the Bruins and the goal song for the Rangers. So whenever Calvin scores, the Bruins song plays. Whenever Ollie scores,
wow.
And it's a whole ordeal. We've got every period timed out, and there's a trophy that's handed out at the end, and then there's interviews that happen, and I'm like, this is why I can't compete. Like, that's
Oh my
I want to play, and I'm just like setting up 2 goals and hitting the ball back and forth. So he is a big kid. There's a whole
That's
thing.
amazing. Penger, you need to do a live interview with the boys during the street hockey.
I might have to, Dylan, do a little holy jump and just starkin with the save, something like that. You know,
that would be amazing if we can get like a whole bunch of recordings. That would just elevate this to a whole new level.
Okay, KT, this is your job now. Okay,
Yeah.
KT, you get it done. I'll get all the broadcasters out there. We'll get Kenny Albert to do one for the Rangers. I can do one for we'll get somebody. We'll get the Bruins. We can get this covered. Have no fear. And it's going to be exciting too.
Right near your house in New York City, right? They've got that rink set up down in the Battery Park area. So there you go. I mean, we could set this up. We could do this.
I wish I would have known. I was just in New York City. I would have met you.
Oh, that's cool.
That's so funny. Yeah. So you do. I mean, it's interesting because Dylan's such a, she pollinates into sports in a lot of different ways. She does a lot with the Kentucky Derby, the Olympics. So she joins our team at NBC Sports for a number of things, but golf being one of them. I mean, you get to come over. You've covered some golf events, of course, the women's amateur at Augusta National, which is amazing. But you play
which
golf.
is an unbelievable. By the way, can I interrupt for a second? Like, I'm a huge golf fan, and my mother, God bless her soul, passed away in 16. She had 3 hole-in-ones. Whenever I watched. When I watch that at Augusta with the women, I just think that that should have been trending a long time ago. For it to be there now and happening, I think it's got to be unbelievable. Unbelievable. That you're there is remarkable.
It's incredible
to be able to experience that.
It's funny you say that because I just voiced over the special that Golf Channel is going to do for, that kind of highlights last year's amateur, and it's like it brought back all the memories of everything we saw from last year. And, if you think about these girls, some who have never been to Augusta before, and then they get to play. And I love that they give on Friday every girl the opportunity, whether they make the cut or not, to play, because I mean, they're so good and they just might miss the cut by, just a stroke. And it's just, you just want to be able to play since you're that close. But it really is special. I'm so glad that they started to do something like that. I love getting to walk the course, and watch amazing golf without the crowds. I mean, it's starting to get more and more popular now. So the secret's out, because you can see just stellar golf and such a level of play. I mean, records being broken on the course, and it's by these women, and they're just truly incredible.
Is it more hilly than you even thought, Dylan?
Oh, you can't. The TV just does not capture at all what the terrain of Augusta National looks like. It's wild. I could never even imagine playing there.
You used terrain and I used hilly. That's a goalie, versus a meteorologist from Rutgers. There's the difference right there.
That's great. Nerd alert. That's all that is.
How did you get into golf? Like, at what point did you decide you wanted to play it?
When I met Brian, he loved to golf. He grew up playing golf. I grew up with 2 older brothers, and they never played golf. My dad never played, so I didn't grow up around it. So when I met my now husband, Brian, he said, let me just get you a set of clubs, get yourself some lessons, see if you like it. And I did. And I love, I miss sports I didn't play sports in college, but I played in high school. And I miss that competitive nature, trying to make yourself better at something, trying and practicing until you get better. The way I play, you'd think why can't I get better? I've been playing for 12 years now and I just cannot get better. But still, it's that personal challenge. And, when you have those good shots and you feel really confident, you feel good about yourself, it keeps you coming back. And it's just a sport I fell in love with. And I'm very lucky because Brian actually likes to play with me. So it's the thing we do together. It's not like the thing he escapes me to go do. So instead of going out to dinner, we'd rather take a day off of work and actually go play a round of golf together. And you're outside and it's just, you're having a couple beers.
Oh, that warms my heart.
Fun.
That's so nice to hear. Yeah.
This warms my heart right here. I love hearing that. Love hearing that.
So how do you find the time between your work schedule, 3 boys, living on the East Coast? You don't get a lot of rounds in to begin with. So where do you find your time to golf?
I don't find much time, which is why I come dead last every time I play in the Tahoe tournament and every other tournament I play in, literally dead last. But I've accepted that. I'm at a point in my life with the three little kids and living in New York City. Yeah. If I can play a couple times a month, I'm happy. But the best thing is all 3 of my boys love golf also. So they don't mind watching it. They set up this little putting green in the living room and we watch golf on weekends, and they're there
Nice.
putting back and forth. And we have a little beach house out in Long Island, and there's a small par 3 course, 9 holes, par 3. The longest one I think is 110 yards. And nobody's ever there. It's like people don't know it exists. It's like $5 to play, and we just take the boys, all 3
Perfect.
of them, and we just go and just let them hit.
That's great.
It's a lot of fun. So I could see it being something we do as a family going forward.
Well, after this episode, I think you're going to add a 4th boy, because I think Panger, when you said putting green in the living
coming
room,
in.
and yeah, I think you just acquired a new child that will be moving with.
Go to the madhouse.
Dylan, Dylan, I'll take the top bunk with the 3 boys. I don't take up much space. I just put a synthetic putting green into my backyard in my little lake house in Michigan.
Oh, that's awesome.
And another shout out to Weston and Celebrity Greens, but I think that's something that you mentioned, a par 3 course for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the reasons why maybe a lot of us didn't play as kids, because it wasn't a sport for kids,
right?
Or we loved other sports. But for your dad, my dad's just turned 87, still alive with us, and Fernie, he worked at a golf. He worked in golf, but to take your boy and play golf, it just wasn't the time in my era. It was just. And it was hard because the clubs were this big, the persimmon, the balls were terrible, and they didn't go anywhere. So it was just, it was a fruitless endeavor. And but now it's not, because of technology, because it's Tiger Woods, because it's, it's the time that kids are competitive and they want to do great. Like you do, you want to do great. When you hit a great shot, there's nothing like hitting a great shot.
It's so true.
And man, there's nothing like hitting a bad one.
Yeah, I have those a little more often. But I will say, knowing I can keep up, like I know how to hang with 3 other guys to go play golf. I'm not going to slow you down. I'm going to keep up with everybody. I'm going to, not be the person who's like slamming my club into the ground because I'm mad I'm not doing well. I don't play well enough, or I don't play enough to play well. But I'm out there to have fun. And I swear, because of golf, it has opened up so many doors for me and has opened up so many opportunities. I mean, the fact that I get to cover the ANWA down at Augusta, the fact that I get invited to Tahoe for American Century. I was just asked to play in the Pro-Am for the waste management.
Oh my gosh.
So
you can use my place. I'm a driver wedge away, and I'll be in Vegas that weekend. So you can use my place.
Oh, great. Thank you.
I'm literally right next to wasted management.
Really?
Hopefully there's more lights that are shining on you that she can get around the place at night or not run into the dark.
Hey, there's a lot of lights. The sun is overhead right now, Panger. It's only 1:30 here in Arizona.
I love it. It is a great sport. And I just wish more women felt comfortable. There, so many of my girlfriends don't want to play because they're like, oh, you're too good. And I'm like, I'm really not. But the reality is that it's just it's an intimidating game to play. And I just wish that more women would feel comfortable, because to Dylan's point, I mean, she and I bring up the rear of that tournament every year in Tahoe, and we're happy to, because do you know how many young girls stop us on the course, and whether they're looking at what we're wearing or what we're doing, they're like, oh my gosh, these women are playing with the boys,
Right.
And, we rarely play together. I mean, we maybe on the off chance they'll put us together, which we love, by the way, but, they see us come up onto the tee box with, 2 former professional athletes or an actor or somebody that's a man. So I just love what that represents at that golf tournament. And I'm happy to play the role that I do. And to your point, you make contacts, you make friends. It's like one big family. It's like a family reunion every summer out in Tahoe.
It is. We call it like adult summer camp. I mean, one year I was 6 months pregnant when I played, it was just for people to sit, like, to even realize that you can play pregnant, and I actually played better than when I wasn't pregnant. So it was the whole medicine ball effect, I kind of forced my arms in the right direction.
I love it.
Well, I've got 5 granddaughters, Dylan, under the age of 4.
Wow.
So, and 4, 3, 2 2s, and a 6-month-old. And they will all be playing golf. In fact, 3 of them are out near Rutgers in Jersey. And my son was a former golf assistant pro as well. And I can't wait. Every once in a while I see them and they'll grab a putter. Then I'll see them. And this is one of the impetuses. I mean, it's for me in the backyard in that lake house. But when they come and visit, it's time consuming and it's competitive and they want to do it. And if you give them the surroundings to be comfortable, and no one's going to yell at them for doing You know, oh, don't do that. Oh my goodness. Oh, you're going to hurt the putter. No,
Right.
just go enjoy
Let
and
them
try to
have
get the
fun.
ball in the hole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In their minds, in kids' minds, that's all they're trying to do is get the ball in the hole, and they'll do whatever they need to do to get there. Whereas
Right.
we
That's it.
overthink everything. And one thing I do hope changes going forward. I was talking to Mike Tirico, and he was just finishing up a conversation with someone. He's like, oh yeah, when I'm in wherever, I'll give you a call. We'll play golf together. And I said, how do you actually make that happen? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, so say you go to Michigan, do you call up a friend and just say, hey, remember when we said we're going to play golf together? You know, let's go play golf together. He's like, yeah, you know, I usually reach out a week or so before, let them know that I'll be in town, and then we'll play golf. And I said, that's what girls can't do. We go to all these events, and it's mostly male golfers that have the memberships that, you know, invite people to their course. And I'm not going to go to California and call, you know, Joe whoever and say, hey, remember when you said let's golf together? Because it's weird. You know, it's a little weird for a girl to call a guy and say, hey, I want to go play golf. Whereas guys just kind of do that with each other. Right. And I travel all over the country for work, which I love. But if I could squeeze in a round of golf at these different places, it would be amazing. But, you know, so I don't know if it's just more girls reaching out to other girls that play, you know, but it's just like a different dynamic when girls play golf. And I do hope it's easier for girls to play.
I would throw this out there, Dylan, and this is KT was doing the Stanley Cup final in 2019, and I was living in St. Louis, and because we're off for the final because National took it over and I wasn't working nationally, I was like a host of all hosts, right, KT? I mean, it was like dinner or whatever.
On my off days, I was playing the best courses I've ever played in St. Louis. It was beautiful.
But I remember. And KT said, like I said, Kate, are you bringing clubs? Do you want to play? And I think that's one of the things that guys honestly probably do well because we're so used to. You're right. There's more maybe the percentage of men that play golf are probably more. And they're all hockey guys and whatever. But I was like, okay, we're playing golf and KT's playing too because I knew because we talk to each other and let's go. We're going to go play golf. And I think that's the one thing I would say is if. You know, being prepared because golf isn't one where you just go play pickleball in a moment's notice. You got to kind of set things up and we're going to play and it's going to be 2:00 or but it is difficult. You are right. It's not as easy as it is just saying, well, let's just go play golf.
Right.
Because it isn't that easy. You're right.
You guys are
Dylan.
You guys treat me like a little sister. So you always include me in things. I love.
Always.
As you should be. Yep. As you should be.
I mean, I think just in general, women asking for something is a hard thing to do.
That's
like
true.
We generally just want to be an inconvenience. We, you know, and it's this, I mean, it's a conversation that's being had all over the place. But in general, I think women just like to not, you know, ask for anything or make ourselves the center of attention. And we just want to, you know, travel and, oh, I'd love to play that course, but I don't know anybody. Well, it could be a separation away from calling somebody to ask to join or to come on the course and play that day. So,
listen, with all the money you two've got, you should be joining clubs in every state anyway.
Yeah,
you should
there
have
you
memberships
go.
all over the place.
I don't play that many clubs. That's the problem.
Well, when you come to Arizona, you're more than welcome. Bring your clubs. And, you know, we've been talking a lot about golf as one of your hobbies. And what are some of your other hobbies? I hear you like to cook.
I do like to cook. That's my other thing.
That's not a hobby. That's a job.
That is a job. I don't get to cook as a hobby anymore. Although I just made a whole grocery list because I'm trying to make gluten-free pasta. My son has celiac disease, so that's, you know, it's been about 6 months or so since he was diagnosed. So
and how's he doing? He's doing okay.
He's doing great. Ever since we got rid of gluten in his diet, I mean, he is just thriving. But I've been on a mission to make homemade pasta. So, you know, it is now a hobby to make homemade bread and homemade gluten-free pasta. Besides, you know, just cooking dinner for the family. But I love it. When I first graduated from Rutgers, I went to Erie, Pennsylvania. That was my first job in TV. And I was making about $16,000 a year. I all of a sudden had to pay bills. I remember thinking back to why my dad told us to keep the heat down and wear more clothes because it's expensive to heat an apartment. So I went to a garage sale and I found a cookbook, and it was the first cookbook I ever owned. It was like $1, $2. And there was a recipe for stuffed peppers that I still make to this day. And it kind of started my whole love of cooking, you know, because it was cheaper and it was more rewarding to just cook and create things on your own. So, now I do it. I got my oldest son, Calvin, the same one I was just talking about. He cooks with me now. We do a little segment on
That's
the Today
great.
Show, and it's just
Awesome.
something we do together. Yeah, it's great.
So what does Thanksgiving look like for you, Dylan? Are you hosting? I know you have a whole slew of Brian's family and your family coming to town. What's it look like here?
Yeah, it ends up being about like 16, 17 people that maybe 18 that come over for Thanksgiving, and I love it. This is going to be our first gluten-free Thanksgiving, but don't worry.
Wow.
I've practiced with gravy, I've practiced with rolls, and I've practiced with stuffing. I've mastered it all. I've practiced my apple crisp, gluten-free. Everybody's happy, so I've been planning. I've been using the last couple months to experiment a little bit. And I just made my list today, and we've got a whole plan. We're actually going to spend Thanksgiving celebrated on Friday because everybody can't get down till 6 o'clock at night, and I have to work at 5 a.m. Friday morning. So I don't want to eat dinner at 6. I like to have Thanksgiving with the spread.
Sure.
And you clear all that away, and then you have another spread of dessert, and you just sit there. And I imagine my grandparents just when we would sit there, they'd have coffee and they'd pour sambuca in their coffee, and I love that laziness after you eat way too much.
English language right now.
Dylan, here's the great news. My wife Lynn is a huge fan of obviously watching in the morning, but also of Earth Odyssey. And I mentioned Lynn because her and I are not doing anything on Thanksgiving. It's an off day, so I just booked a flight, and I'm so thankful we're going to your place because I heard apple crisp, I heard gravy, so we are in.
And
okay,
sambuca.
you won't even notice we're there. With all the people there, and she's blonde too, so she'll just
that's great.
Like match up with everybody.
I love it, and then you can take the boys out so they can play hockey afterwards.
See, I love that. No problem whatsoever. I'm all in.
Brian
okay, that's check
happy.
mark.
Brian will be asking a million questions about the Bruins this season. Brian is a diehard Bruins fan. So.
No, Brian's going to have the jib camera.
Yeah.
We need some shots.
Oh,
and
yeah. He'll make
and
that
we
happen.
also have there's a broadcaster, Mickey Redmond, one of the great broadcasters, longtime NHL player, 50-goal scorer for the Red Wings, now does their broadcast. And he was diagnosed with celiac. It had to be about 15 years ago. And so I don't, I know that it's that what it is, but mainly because of him. And he's been able to, travel. He often brings his own food because his knowledge of it and going to restaurants. And I think the awareness of celiac is obviously much greater now and magnified with the knowledge of what it actually is now more than ever.
Absolutely. I mean, and I literally knew nothing about it. I'm not into fad diets. I'm not into, I eat meat, I eat dairy. Fortunately, I don't have any food allergies. So it's just was not in my spectrum of things I worried about. And then Calvin just had so many weird things, like weird rashes, and his hair was falling out and he was dropping things. And it was just like weird stuff. And, after over the course of many tests, they discovered it was celiac disease. So I learned about it. And, working at the Today Show, I'm glad I have this platform that I can raise awareness because all of a sudden, so many people came out of the woodwork and they're like, I've been dealing with celiac disease. Nobody talks about it. Thank you. It is actually a big problem. When you suffer from celiac disease, it really just damages your system. So thank you for just making it more normal and, fighting for it's all you have to do is eat the right food. That's all it is. It's just change your diet and it should just be more accessible. Luckily, I live in New York, but so many people don't. And it should be easy to get the food you need to keep you healthy.
Well said.
It's awesome. I love it.
Well said. I won't have a beer. I'm going to save the beer. I'm not going to have one here. It's good.
I'm just like
still drinking beer.
I'm so glad he's healthy and feeling better. At a young age to go through that, but he's so cute when he talks about it too. And I know you guys recently did an event and ran a race, and it's so great that he's involved and embracing it. He's not afraid of it, and that's a credit to you and Brian for making this. Okay, we're going to tackle it. And we're going to take it hands on, and nothing to be afraid of. It's just we all have our stuff, right?
Right. Exactly. This is his thing. And for him, it's super easy. He doesn't, maybe when he's 18 and moves out of the house, he has to realize oh, my mom worked really hard to make this gluten-free lifestyle for me. But right now he has no idea. We went gluten-free in the house and he really,
That's awesome.
He gets good food all the time. So he has nothing to worry about.
Guys, recently I had a charity event in New York for the Marine Raider Foundation, and Dylan's always she's been a bunch of times, couldn't make it last month, but always very generous with donating, an item or two. And this year she always donates a tour for the Today Show, which goes off like crazy. This year I actually ended up pimping her out. I auctioned off 2 because the price was so high. And I texted her from oh, by the way, really sorry, I'll help you out with this, but you're hosting 2 tours for the Today Show.
I'm happy to do it. You know that.
Oh, great. Never. Other thing she donates, which is so cool, is her Misty the Cloud books, which is her children's line, her children's books all about, well, I'll let you tell it, Dylan, but I mean, it's this great concept that I just remember for years you and Brian were talking about. And the fact that it has come to fruition. This is a passion project of yours. It's here. You're coming out with the 3rd one in February, I think. The fourth one. So
wow.
Give the guys a little idea as to how this idea came about and who Misty the Cloud is, because she has such a great message for young children.
Thank you. It was, Kathryn, I'm always happy to help, especially
I know.
Foundation. So yes, I'm glad you were able to get 2 of those out there. Let's bring in more money and raise more money. No, Misty the Cloud. It was probably 12 years ago that it was an idea we came up with, and it took about 10 years before it finally came out, because you go to a publishing house and you kind of pitch your idea for these clouds that live up in the sky, and they're just like boys and girls that live down on the ground, and they're going through things. But when they go through things, different stuff happens. When they're angry, it turns into a thunderstorm, or if they're kind of grumpy or lazy, it kind of turns into fog, So I just had imagine this world of kids going through the things kids go through, but they're clouds and weather, and just how that could correlate with the feelings and emotions that kids go through. And so many people said, that's great, but you're a female meteorologist, you should really write a book about, maybe like biographies are selling really well right now. So what if you wrote a biography about a well-known meteorologist, or a little known meteorologist? And I was like, that's fine, but I really want to do this cloud world. And it's like, well, what about animals? Kids love to read about animals. And I'm like, that's great, but I really want to do this cloud thing. And it was, just nobody wanted to do it. I don't know why. Right. It was just, but I never gave up, because I was really passionate about this project. And my husband and I had all these really great ideas, and we just fought and gave up, and then tried again. And finally, we were able to come out with our first book several years ago, called Misty the Cloud, A Very Stormy Day, which is that whole concept of this cloud who's just having a bad day and it turns into a big old thunderstorm. And then we came out with a second picture book. But now my son, last year, he's in 2nd grade now. So last year he was in 1st grade. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Step Into Reading books, the ones like 1st graders can read. It's just fewer words. But so now I'm like super proud, because every stage of the books that have come out, there were picture books when Calvin was littler, and I was reading picture books to him. And then it was these Step Into Reading books now that he's in 1st and 2nd grade. And, he can read them to his class, and I can give them to him to give to his teachers and the librarian at his school. And so it's just the next one to come out is another Step Into Reading book, and it's called The Thing About Spring. And it's why spring happens and why we need spring every year. And it's just a sweet series really, that I'm super proud of. And, I'm glad I stuck to my guns. If you ever believe in something, just keep doing it. Somebody will eventually pick up on your idea. You just got to.
I think my favorite one is Friends Through Rain or Shine.
Oh, thank you.
That's a good one. I'm a reader to my granddaughters all the time.
Oh,
Grandpa's reading a story. Yes. So great work.
Well, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. I'm just proud of that.
And you should be, because it's been a long journey, but you got it off and running. And I see them everywhere. It's really funny. I'll see them. I hesitate sometimes to just text you the picture. I'm like, well, knows these are already out there.
I like to know it's still out there and exists.
It's still out there. Yes, it's great. It's a great series, and it's just a feel good series, and that's kind of like our podcast, guys, a feel good series. So
exactly right.
Dylan, it's so much fun having you on, and I know hopefully we could do it again with you sometime. But I know it's very busy. I think, and we have not heard Calvin with his drums, by the way.
And he's drumming, so I guess the walls are better than
the walls are great.
Wow.
We don't hear him in his drum lessons, so that's good.
I love it.
Good thing when you have to go to bed at what time you go to bed at now? Like 7:30, 8 o'clock?
Yeah, as soon as the kids go to bed, I'm in bed, but haven't been woken up by the drums yet.
Good to have those footballs. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Have a
Yes.
great day with everybody. Say hello. And and hopefully I'll see you in person soon. I know it's so
I
hard.
know. We need to make that happen. You're busier than I am. So
No. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll catch
guys,
up.
it was so nice to meet you, and thank you so much.
Good to see you again, Dylan. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Same to
Dylan,
you.
this was a pleasure. I'll see you on Thanksgiving morning. Okay.
Okay.
Bye, Dylan.
Take care.
Well, that was fun, guys. It was like take your friend to work day for me. I love catching Dylan. She's, like I said in the beginning, she's a bright light. It's just great to have her on the podcast.
Amazing that you guys go back that far, and you ended up in, how many cities? Well, Boston and New York.
Yep, Providence. We
doesn't
actually
happen very often that you've.
We went Providence, Boston, New York together. So literally like 4 months apart. It's been wild. It's a big joke with us, but And then I was in her wedding by her side when she married Brian, who was just so much fun to be around, and a great person as well. Comes from a great family. So you guys got to experience her though. That was a fun chat we had.
That was nice.
That a fun wedding?
From what I remember, yes.
Love it.
It was so much fun. It was in Boston. That's where Brian's from, and that's where they met. It was a great, great weekend. Her bachelorette weekend on Martha's Vineyard is epic, and you asked her to tell some stories. Like those are stories that we can't share.
Wow.
So much fun. I mean, we have so many laughs. She gets on me for my silly, Katherinisms, we call them,
Antics.
when I say things incorrectly, and I think they're right. If they're really not, I don't know. But we've had so many laughs over the years, and when we sit and have lunch together, when we do have an opportunity and we schedule it and we meet up, I mean, we could go for hours and hours and hours. It's just, it's so much fun. We have a lot in common, but more importantly, we're dear, dear friends and can lean on each other in any given moment. So that was great. I'm glad she got to come on, guys. And now,
yeah, that was great. I loved hearing how into sports the whole family was too. Yeah. I love that they do so many things together. It's amazing.
Any family that plays street hockey together is good by me.
with sound and national anthems.
That's right.
Crazy.
That's unbelievable.
It's amazing.
So a wild week. I'm off to do the Penn State-Michigan State game, which is actually at Ford Field. So I will not be freezing.
Okay.
I'll be inside, which will be great. But that'll wrap up our Big Ten schedule, guys, for the season. It's just crazy. It's already over with. But I've got some fun things coming up in December. I'll share in a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to try and sneak in a meal with my family on Wednesday night, I think, before I travel, and then. No Thanksgiving Day for me, but I will be celebrating it with my road family, which are my TV family, which, as you guys know, you're on the road a lot. The people that you work with do end up becoming your family. So we'll have some nice meal somewhere in Detroit on Thursday night and get ready for kickoff on Friday. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, if you have time, the Conley family is only 15 minutes up the road. They'd be more than happy to have you over. And they also have a very big Thanksgiving there. Unfortunately, I will not be there. I am deciding whether to go to Del Mar, California and play the Grand with my aunt and uncle like I did last year. Or my backup plan is probably to go to the Charles Barkley residence. And God knows there's going to be a lot of food there.
I was going to say, what do they serve for Thanksgiving?
Well, I've never been there for Thanksgiving before. I've been there for some Christmases and New Year's Eves and a couple other parties and festivities. But got the invite to go there. And as you know, we're always traveling, and I love my aunt and uncle, and I'd love to play the Grand, and I love Del Mar, but may just have to stay home for a weekend and take them up on that offer. So that's where I'm probably going to head for Thanksgiving myself.
Awesome.
And then you're going to try to get in Chucky's pocket on the golf course. I can see it.
Am I ever?
Oh boy, don't give out any secrets. Don't give him any motivation.
Podcast as to what you guys ate at Charles Barkley's Thanksgiving, because I would love.
We will have a follow-up.
We'll give them our best if you go. Panger, we know you're staying put in Chicago with Lynn. Give Lynn our best. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys. And cheers to the holiday season and the kickoff of what is going to be a great month ahead, guys.
Travel safe, guys.
Sounds great.
All right.
Yeah, great job. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Enjoy the week.
Thanks, Panger. You too. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.